Welcome to Alaska EdVenture, hosted by Dr. Meinert, Superintendent of the Fairbanks North Star Borough School District. This award-winning podcast is your gateway to the heart of Alaska's educational landscape. In each episode, we'll explore the unique perspectives of guests who are shaping education in the last frontier. Join us on Alaska EdVenture as we share the insights and inspirations found in Alaska's K-12 classrooms.
Welcome back to the Alaska EdVenture podcast. I'm Dr. Luke Meinert, Superintendent of the Fairbanks North Star Borough School District. And today I have the great privilege of sitting with the Alaska Principal of the Year and the Alaska Teacher of the Year. And I'm not sure if this has ever happened before here in Fairbanks or the state of Alaska to have both honorees coming from one district. But man, I am in the presence of greatness today and just super excited for the conversation to dig into the amazing positive things that are happening within their lives and they're passing on to our students. And so I'm going to pass it over to Pete to do an introduction, and then he'll pass it over to Principal Johnson.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Meinert. My name's Pete Daley. I teach welding at Hutchison High here in Fairbanks, and I'm on my 24th year of teaching, 8 years in some villages, and then this is year 16 at Hutchison. So I'm definitely honored to be the 2026 Alaska Teacher of the Year. So turn it over to Heather.
All right.
Well, it's interesting because Pete and I used to work here together.
Yeah.
So I'm Heather Johnson, and this is my 29th year. I started here at the old Hutch, and was here for about 17 years before I moved on to administration. And so, yeah.
And where are you currently principal at?
So I'm at Tanana Middle School,
right.
and this is my 5th year there.
Yeah, so lots of longevity in the podcast studio today.
Yeah.
Love that we have amazing educators that stay with us for a really long time. And we'll get to that conversation because I think we're seeing that less and less in education around the state and certainly in Fairbanks. And so we'll probably end with some of the tips and tricks you might have for new educators and staying with Fairbanks and staying with education. But can you start us out with talking about what led up to the award and what the process is that you have to go through to become Alaska Teacher of the Year?
Absolutely. So I found out probably in January, February of last year, 25, and I was notified that I was nominated, and I'm like, that's interesting. I had no idea who nominated me, and found out. So I had to submit a bunch of different documentation. There was quite the process. So I got support letters, resume, bio, all of that submitted, and had to put in some evidence, lesson plans, and different things. So found out later in early March that I was a finalist, one of 6. So 100 of us were nominated. 44 of us rose to the challenge and went forward with the application, but I became one of the final 6, and I thought, wow, that's interesting. So was honored for that just in itself, but ended up going through further documentation. I had Josh Duvall from the school district come and film a direct instruction video 5 minutes long, and I had to do a slide deck presentation, a 15-minute presentation. I learned how to use Screencastify and did a narration and submitted that, and some more documentation and evidence, and then found out that I ended up winning. So that was kind of a surprise. It was late into the school year in May, and I was kind of sweating it out, and I thought, man, I figured we would have had some kind of big hoopla in the gym, but yeah, no dice. And so it was like the last week of school, and then they did it, and so that was definitely a shocker. But yeah,
and we did the hoopla.
We did. It was a lot of fun,
and definitely a well-earned honor. And I think it's awesome that the Alaska Teacher of the Year is somebody in the career and technical education field. And then, when you narrow it down, I can't think of a better representative than Pete Daley. We'll go into some of your accomplishments and the kind of innovative programs that you lead, not only in the school, but in the community. But as Alaska's really moving towards workforce development and an increase in industry, Pete's at the forefront of developing talent to be able to lead that workforce in the future. So natural fit. Good luck on the National Teacher of the Year, because I feel like you should also be awarded at that level as well.
Supposed to find out at the end of January.
All right, fingers crossed, everybody.
That's exciting, yeah.
All right. Heather, how about your process? process. What did it look like to become the Alaska Principal of the Year?
So I had been awarded the Region 6 Principal of the Year. And so with that, they asked us, please fill out this application. We would love to, have you turn this in for the Alaska State Principal of the Year. And my first thought was, I don't need to do that. But I was like, no, I need to brag about my school. And this was a really great opportunity. So I just laid it all out and told them how great our school was. So I think it was a school win. Mm-hmm. So yeah. But it's a lengthy process.
Naturally humble in that, right? I think a lot of educators, rightfully so, it's a win for the school, it's a win for the district and a reflection there, but that doesn't happen without great leadership at the level that you're at. And so thank you for leading Tanana. And I still remember back sitting in your West Valley office and tapping you on the shoulder and being like, I think it's time.
It's like, whoa.
Right.
But then by October, I was like, yes, I got this.
We got this. And I knew you had it, and I knew you would be an amazing positive change for Tanana. And so thank you for stepping into that role. Yeah. We've seen amazing things under your leadership there.
Thank you.
It's because of a lot of the work that you do and inspire other people to do.
Thank you.
So as we think about this award and kind of reflect back on it, what are some things that stand out to both of you of things that might have stood out to the selection committees and things that you're proud of the work that you're doing at your schools?
Yeah. So for me, I went into the position knowing that I wanted to give it my all and 100% and really begin to kind of change the culture and make it as positive as it could be. Mm-hmm. I think that in doing that, news got out. And people were saying positive things about Tanana, and social media had positive things about Tanana. So again, it was a school effort, I think, that led ultimately to getting the award. It was the entire school, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah. And if you were to brag on like one or two things that are highlights of your time at Tanana, anything stand out to you there?
My first year, I applied and we became a Purple Star school. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do that. I thought that was very important. We have about 52% of our population, staff and students, who are military. And we know that transition can be really tough for kids. And so we created our Eagle ambassadors, and we have kids coming in all the time, PCSing in and out, and we have a group that welcomes them. And so that was, for me, that was huge for my first real project for the school. Carrying on, we have our wrestling tournament coming up. Yep. 50 years
Biggest
this year.
Biggest in the state for middle school.
Yeah. High school too. It is the largest. Whoa. Yeah. Okay. So we're getting a citation actually.
Awesome.
Largest sporting event in the state, and that's always fun. I think just Tanana being the great school that it is, I think that was probably pretty much it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for those that don't know, Purple Star Schools, it's a state kind of acknowledgement of schools that go above and beyond supporting military-connected students. Schools have to fill out an application and go through a process to do that, and that's something that we're very proud of here in Fairbanks. Is we have the most Purple Star schools than any other district in the state. And so about 25% of our students district-wide are military connected. And so it's great to see Tanana step up in such a big way to support the population that goes to their school.
Yeah.
And Pete, how about for you? What kind of stands out in your mind of why you might have been selected for this honor, and some highlights as you reflect back on the last several years of your career?
So it's a great question, and I've had time to think about this, but I did during the awards ceremony last May ask Commissioner Bishop why me, and she said there was three things that really stood out. And so the first she mentioned was the innovative programs that I run. So in 2013, I piloted a pipe welding academy kind of as a capstone class. It has since kind of morphed into more of an introductory class to serve all the district students, just to kind of spread equity across the board. And then the second innovative program would be the Girls Who Weld program that I do every June. So we just finished the 4th iteration, and a highly successful program. And I'm 99% sure that that's the program that has kind of vaulted me to the top. it's kind of led to some other award nominations and receiving a couple of those. So that's been a great driver to it. The second reason she mentioned was the collaborative community partnerships with my business and industry partners. I run a welding advisory board. So like with the Fairbanks Pipeline Training Center, Kinross, Fort Knox, a lot of different area fab shops, strong partnerships there. And then the third component is the mentorship that I've been doing. So I've been helping a couple other instructors, both in district and out of district, with just kind of all things welding, just working with some PLCs and CTE. So helped Eric Olson study for his CWI exam out in North Pole. So we spent every Sunday for 2 years.
Wow.
We'd go get some pancakes in the morning and we'd go to his school and jam and do book work for a couple, 3 hours. So unconventional, right? Most people PLC on Monday after school, but we're sacrificing Sundays when we could be sleeping in, watching football, going to church, whatever. So the mentorship. And then, those were kind of the three major catalysts, the drivers that kind of led to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, Pete does, really impressive work, not only in the school itself, community-wide, statewide. I love that you're such a mentor to CTE teachers around the state, really. I think I remember you talking about this, you're one of the few that are certified and can help certify other CTE welding teachers as well.
Yep.
So a lot of us as leaders have folks we've looked up to that have inspired us to go into leadership or whatever career pathway that we've pursued. Who stands out in your mind as somebody that's motivated you or something that has motivated you?
You want to go first?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So I wanted to be a teacher since my first day of kindergarten. I actually went to school thinking I was going there to be the teacher. So I have always been highly motivated to become some sort of educator. Growing up with a father who was also an educator, he was my high school teacher and my life teacher. He was a huge influence and role model. And then I had the opportunity to work with some really phenomenal people. My first job with Georgine Seeliger, getting my foot in the door, and she was an amazing leader. My first admin position working under Sean Kraska was like mind-blowing, unbelievable. I still hear her voice when I'm trying to make a lot of decisions. And then I think one of the biggest role models was Sarah Gillum in taking her positivity and rolling that over into Tanana. She was huge, and I just love her to death. So
That's awesome.
I've just been really lucky. I've had some really great role models to work with.
And some colleagues along the way.
Yeah. And Pete, right? I worked with Pete.
And Pete, how about for you?
So I've had multiple reasons for, I guess, what's inspired me to get into education. I guess the first formative one that I can remember was my carpentry teacher, Mr. Newton. So I just thought he had a cool job. He had a unique role in what he was doing with the students. It was an unconventional environment, right? You're not just teaching English or history. So he had a hands-on environment. We were very active and engaged, but he built that relationship piece, and that's really critical for teachers, especially when they're starting out, is to try and develop that rapport with the students. I guess that he would be the first. And then I've had some influential principals over the years and some CTE directors who have fostered growth mindset, working on professional development, and just ended up motivating me to be better. So setting that bar, that standard, setting the tone, just trying to strive for excellence. So it's been multiple people.
Yeah. And one of the things I picked up on, you said the word relationships. And so I think relationships go a long way to developing successful schools, successful school climates, and then ultimately students having better outcomes. And so given that you were just talking about relationships, how do you establish good relationships here at Hutch? And I think it's kind of funny because we're in a shop. It's very industrial, a lot of times, sometimes it's male dominated, which I love that you've broken through that barrier.
Yes, yeah.
But thinking of the softer side of we still need to form relationships with our students. And so how do you do that in here?
So you greet each student at the door as they come in. So you set the tone. If you don't have to be all smiles and ebullient all the time. But you do need to be genuine, and you have to show an actual concern for each student. So just a positive good morning, how are you doing? How was your weekend? As informal as that is, you're acknowledging that you see the student, and they realize, okay, he sees me, like, and I want to be here. So, that sets the tone right out of the gate. Yeah. But then just having those high standards, those expectations, and then, but following up, as you're going through the class, providing formative feedback, touching base with each student, trying to guide and direct, and then at the end of class, just those ad hoc informal conversations like, oh, how's your hockey game? You got a game this weekend? Like, how'd that go? Just talking about their hunting trips, whatever it is, it actually does help. And so it kind of eliminates any classroom management issues that you might run into. So that relationship piece is very, very critical.
Yeah, for sure.
And how about from your level as a principal?
I was just going to say, that's, one more layer.
Yes.
I think, working with staff, first and foremost, I treat and trust our staff as the professionals that they are. And I think that's huge. I respect our teachers, and I try to make sure that they know that I have their back and that I respect what they do. Again, with relationships, building it with staff, I like to have fun. We do crazy fun stuff. So every Friday we have a secret staff dress-up day, and the kids love it because they try to figure out what it is. So I did not come dressed up like a middle schooler today. So you're welcome.
Darn it.
Yeah. But then with students too, I don't ever want my office to be like, oh, it's the principal's office, I don't want to go. So my door's always open. Kids come in, they'll eat lunch with me. It's just getting visible and being out and being seen with the kids. I really like to pick up on personal things that I can relate to with kids. Like this morning, I had just happened to notice that this one student, his grades were just off the charts, and he had improved dramatically. Yeah. So, it was a big deal. So I saw him, I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Yeah. So just trying to make those connections, I think, is really important. And you have to be genuine because kids know. Kids
for sure.
absolutely know if you're real or not. Yep. So being real with the kids is important.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
A couple other layers that I don't think either of you touched on, but you're very good at as well, as building relationships with families and parents, and then community partners as well. And Pete, would love to hear you talk about some of your work and bringing community partners into Hutchison High School and how that helps your program and students be successful.
So great question. I just presented to the NEA delegate assembly here last Friday, and one of the slides that I had was a footstool, and it has the student at the center in the seat, right? And so the three supporting legs are parents, community, and teachers. And so some of us are one of those. Most of us are all three. We have children in school or had and graduated. So that having the student as the center, and then I guess as far as communication, I send home a monthly newsletter, just giving heads up on things to expect, different events going on, what we're working on in class. I like to document with photos, show parents like to see their students in action. But as far as the community side, that welding advisory board that I have is really critical. So they come, we meet twice, once in the fall and once in the spring every year, and they provide input and feedback on my program. We talk about current employment trends, job outlook, what they are looking for in employees. But then I take my classes to my business and industry partners on tours. So whether we're going to Fort Knox or the Pipeline Training Center or some local fabrication shops, we try to go to open houses like at the welding distributors. Just touching base and making those connections. So then when the students are in those workplaces, they see the relevancy for what they're learning in my class. So they see like, oh, I saw them working on stick welding. They were outside, or we were at the mine and they were doing a lot of flux core arc welding or carbon arc gouging. So when the students come back to class, they have that focus and direction, and there's a little more engagement and buy-in for what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. It's real, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool.
One of the things I wanted to talk about today were challenges in schools. And so I think sometimes it's easy to be a successful teacher, a successful leader in easy environments, but being in an educational environment today comes with a set of challenges unique to education and schools, but certainly unique in our period of time in the world as well. And so curious, Heather, let's start with you. How do you navigate kind of the myriad of challenges that come your way every day?
You know, you have to be flexible. You have to be able to turn on a dime. But one of the big challenges that I think everyone is facing, and this is nationwide, is just the teacher shortage.
Yes.
It's really hard to find teachers and to keep teachers. I find budgets very challenging and frustrating at times because I want to be, right? I want to be able to hire excellent educators that want to stay here. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. After 29 years, this is the best district anywhere. And I try to reiterate that to people. We just yesterday we're January. Hired our last sped para.
Wow.
I have a fully staffed school, which is like, I can't tell you how fortunate I am to have that. And I mean, just being able to navigate through that. I don't like surprises for my staff. So when big challenges or changes come up, I think keeping them involved and a part of the process is huge. They deserve that because it can be really scary for some. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Pete, when you think about challenges, what typically comes your way and what's your process on working through those?
So we have had some challenges. So we're going through the post-COVID hangover and we've had definite attendance issues. I just got done taking the classroom management, the discipline for secondary schools class with Assistant Soup Gillum. And we were talking about attendance in a couple different classes. And if a student misses more than 10% of class time, that's detrimental to their overall success in class.
Absolutely.
So trying to communicate that to families that it's very important that your student is present with us because it's guilt by association. If they're not here, they're missing the lessons. It's very hard to recover. So attendance has been a huge challenge. Just trying to communicate that importance is very, very, very critical. I guess second, other than attendance, funding is a perennial issue. We were talking about budgets. So I've had the same paltry $10,000. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not when you're talking about steel prices. I do one order like $2,500. I mean, I go through $100 a day with the coupons that the students are welding on. So I've been fortunate with my business and industry partners that they stepped up to the plate. So they're donating materials. I've had some financial donations. So that helps augment and supplement, but it's a Band-Aid on a gusher. So it is problematic. And so I'm hopeful in the years to come that we can do something about the BSA and the funding formula to kind of help facilitate that. I guess as far as other challenges, I mean, just getting students engagement, because it's very challenging because we're competing with so many other distractions. You have cell phones, social media. So you need, that's where, again, the relationships come in, because if you don't have that piece, the kids aren't buying what you're selling. So, those are the ones that really come present to mind.
No, that's great. And I'm glad you mentioned the cell phone piece, something that we haven't talked about. I might have talked about it on a podcast a couple years ago, but as our school board worked through kind of what a new policy would look like for students in our schools, to minimize the disruption of cell phones. I feel like Pete was at the forefront of that. I still remember Pete coming into my teacher advisory committee and he was like, Luke, you need to read this book. And it was the Anxious Generation. And that was before the book blew up. I had heard about it, but it really hadn't made the rounds yet. And I took the book, I had a flight coming up and I just couldn't get enough of it. And I'm like, whoa, like, you knew there was an issue, but like that just highlighted all of the data around it. And not only the issues it's causing in schools, but just society wide with our students and our youth today. And so thank you for that. And, pushing us forward and trying to create more distraction-free environments for our students.
Can I jump in on that?
Absolutely.
I recommend The Anxious Generation to anybody and everybody. What I really, really loved about the book is it gave me scientific proof that I could share with parents. So when they said, no, my child has to have their cell phone, it's like, actually, your child is, I want in what's in their best interest, and I'm doing harm to your child's brain, and I'm not going to do that. So it was really nice to have that solid scientific proof behind the rewiring of the brain.
Absolutely.
And it was amazing going from a high school secondary level to a middle school level that didn't have cell phones. We have never had cell phones. It was off and away during the day. And it was amazing to walk into the lunchroom and see kids talking to each other, you know? So our shift wasn't as hard as probably the high schools had in becoming cell phone free, but I am so thankful for our board and you guys to make it that policy. That was amazing.
Well, to dovetail on to what you're talking about, I work with industry in the summertime. I do welding inspection, and I'll walk into a break room, job shack, and there's 20 adults just vacuously staring at their phone. And it's like, really? Nobody's talking about their fishing trip to Chittenden or like a baseball game? Like, nope. Nope. So it's not just at the school level.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about the challenges, and that can always be hard in a career, but like, what keeps you coming back day after day? And I think you're both at the point that you could easily walk away from this and be okay and go lead another life. But I am very thankful that you and other educators continue to come back and share your expertise with our students and staff. So what motivates you to get out of bed every day and still come back to your schools?
Go ahead.
So when I come to school each day, I ask myself when I come through the door, and I ask a very simple question: why are you here? And so you need to keep in mind your motivation and your purpose for becoming a teacher in the first place. And if you can't answer that question truthfully, then it might be time to find another vocation. So having that to set the tone for the day is, in my mind, is what kind of drives the bus, if you will. So yeah, let's see. So,
and I love that, starting with your whys.
It's critical, because if you're just here for a paycheck, I mean, you could do that anywhere, you know.
Yeah.
Especially in the field of welding, we need
Right.
a lot of welders.
But I do get a lot of satisfaction from working with the students when I see them being successful, and I see them transition off after graduation, and they enter business or industry, and they're gainfully employed, making high wages, commensurate with some of our pay, you know. I mean,
absolutely.
It's very humbling, but it's edifying at the same time. And I get a lot of gratification and joy from seeing them be successful. So that, for me, is what keeps me coming back.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's so cool, like, in your career pathway in general. I mean, one, you can look around the town and see different projects you've specifically worked on, but you have this, like, web that you've also expanded out over town. You're like, oh, I know this student built that, or this student built that, and this student built that. And that's, like, not only here in Fairbanks, but across the state in general. And so your ripple effect into our state is amazing.
Yeah. It's the kids. It's the kids. End of summer, I'm like, I'm ready to get back. You know, after each break, it's just, I miss the kids. I miss the environment. I'm a huge extrovert. So I call it, like, I'm an energy vampire, right? So I love being in a room full of kids and energy and just talking to them. And, you know, I have said, oh, I'm going to retire. And no, I can't do that. Oh, I'm going to retire. No, I'm not going to do that, because I'd miss it. I would miss it. I would miss it so much. So, it's who I am, you know. And then when you do end, like, who are you then? What do you do, right? So, definitely the kids and the people. Very motivating for me.
All right. I talked earlier in the podcast, and I want to wrap it up with this question. Thinking about young educators that are just coming into the system, or even high schoolers that think they might want to become a teacher or educator, what's some advice that you can pass on to them?
So it's interesting, because as I got older as a teacher, and then new teachers were coming in very young, I started to kind of gravitate towards them to help them in their career, right? Just because you had the experience. And that was kind of what led me to think maybe I could do this full time, right? So you are always going to have days where you cry in the car on the way home. That's just, it's okay. one of my mentors, Georgine Seeliger, at the beginning of my career, I was like, Georgine, I just feel like I'm just messing up. I feel like am I damaging kids? Am I dangerous? She said, Heather, the fact that you are worried about doing something wrong or poorly indicates that you care and you're doing exactly what you need to do. And so I always kind of keep that in the back of my mind. I have no problem picking up a phone and calling you, calling Sarah, calling anybody, because if I don't have the right answer, I don't make the right decision. So I always tell new teachers or people coming in that do not be afraid to ask. Do not be afraid to ask. It's scarier when they don't ask, right?
Yep.
So, and grace, give yourself grace, because this is a hard job.
It is.
It is really hard. And, if you're here because you love it, you're going to be fine. So. Yeah.
Love that. Pete, how about you?
So this is year 24, and I look at where I'm at today versus where I was 24 years ago starting out, and I'm kind of glad I'm not that guy anymore. But it's scary, like Heather mentioned, about the damage that one can do. But you can't think like that. You need to keep that growth mindset. But it's a great question. So I like to model behavior for younger teachers, and that's where the mentoring comes in, trying to coach, trying to offer guidance, whether it's asked for or implied. I like to share what I know. But one of the things I mentioned in my Friday presentation to the NEA was the 10,000 hour rule. I asked everybody, did anybody know what the 10,000 hour rule is? A few hands went up. And so it basically boils down to this. It takes, on average, about 10,000 hours to truly master something to where you're on autopilot and you can do it in your sleep. So think about like your airline pilot, right? They got to do a simulator. They have to do training with the cockpit. Same with a surgeon. Next time you drop your vehicle off at the dealership to get serviced, think about that. Yep. That individual had to spend a fair amount of time to get adept and proficient at what they're doing. So I asked the audience, as a teacher, how many years do you suppose it takes to achieve 10,000 hours? Well, I did some simple napkin math, and it boils down to about 8 years. So here I am now, 30,000 hours in. Heather's even more, closer to 40. So that has a big impact, because then you can do your job with integrity, fidelity. You're not second guessing. Just past experience, prior knowledge is kind of guiding your moral compass, if you will.
Absolutely. And just not getting discouraged early on in their career field, because it does take a while to figure out and settle in, and you continue to evolve as an educator. So I love that.
Yeah.
All right. As one last question as we wrap it up, what's something that you're looking forward to most in the next year, especially being named Alaska Teacher of the Year, Alaska Principal of the Year? What comes next?
So I'm really, really excited to go down to Washington, D.C. in April and meet the 49 other principals.
Oh, man, that's cool.
I can't wait to do that, because there's so much networking. And then that's going to give me the opportunity to have a bigger voice with policy, with funding, with resources for my staff and school. So I'm looking forward to that.
I love that.
I think that's going to be neat.
That's great.
Yeah.
I got the same answer.
Okay.
So I had my first kickoff with my national cohort, the other 49 state winners, on December 17th before Christmas. And you could feel the room, even though it was a Zoom meeting, it was electrifying, knowing that you're around 49 other like-minded people who are intrinsically motivated and passionate about teaching and education. So again, just going down that path about policy and talking about different educational issues, to me, it's exciting. I mean, if you're truly into this, you can really nerd out on it. So, and then in addition to that, with the cohort, I've also actually won several other awards. So I recently found out a couple of weeks ago that I've been named by the American Welding Society as the National Welding Educator for the entire country. So I get to go receive that award at FabTech in October in Las Vegas. And that's a black tie gala soiree kind of a thing. So that's kind of fun. And just last Tuesday,
you're racking them up.
I was recognized by the Fairbanks Chamber. And I received an Athena Award, which was granted for the Girls Who Weld program. So the Athena Award is for empowering women and driving leadership. And they have 8 different principles that they abide by. But yeah, I'm kind of racking them up. I actually had 6 awards in 6 months, 2 in 1 week. So
Wow.
yeah, it's coming in. So when it rains, it pours.
That's great.
I'm up for a couple more. So fingers crossed.
Man, well,
That's so cool.
yeah, such a well-deserved honor,
Yeah,
and
yep.
hopefully we continue to retain you here.
Don't plan on going anywhere.
with all of
Yeah.
those awards. So, well, I just want to end the podcast by saying thank you to both of you. I'm so glad that you're honored for the work that you're doing, and the amazing difference that you're making in the lives of students and teachers every day. So thank you.
Yeah, well,
Appreciate
thank you. Yeah, this was really fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
awesome.
appreciate it.
And yeah, thanks for being on the podcast as well. Sometimes people think it's a scary experience, but I think you both nailed it. You're naturals. And so it was a great conversation. I enjoyed it. And hopefully we'll have you back sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to one plug for Luke. I just want to thank you for being as supportive as you are. I've been in this district for a really long time, and I think our leadership team at the top is the best right now that I have worked with. So I appreciate you a lot.
Thank you very much.
So.
I appreciate that. So
Ditto.
it's another podcast of the Alaska EdVenture podcast. And so thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.